Now let's listen up. Let's look at the steps involved in the transport of solutes. Now, we've seen simple diffusion. In simple diffusion, no transporter is required. In facilitated diffusion, a transporter is required. A transmembrane protein is required. Now, how is a solute transported? So we want to look at the steps involved. Now look at this as the cell membrane. Now, let's look at this. This is the cell membrane, and this is outside of the cell, and this is the inside of the cell. Now, I want to transport this molecule from outside to inside. But now, the molecule cannot diffuse on its own into the cell. We need a transporter. That's the case of facilitated diffusion. So we need a transmembrane protein. The steps involve, first, recognition by transporter. We have different types of solutes here. First, the transporter will recognize its own solute because transporters are specific for specific solutes. So, glucose have its own transporter. Amino acids have their own transporter. Different things have their own transporter. So, first of all, the transporter here, which is the transmembrane protein here, we have to recognize its own solute. So after recognizing its own solute, the solute will now bind. Let's say this is the solute that this transporter was meant to transport. We then bind to it. Now after binding is translocation of the solute. So after the solute binds to this transporter, it will create a conformational change in this transporter. It's not that the transporter is moving. It's not that the transmembrane protein is carrying it and moving from there. Once it binds, there will be a conformational change in shape. So that conformational change will now allow the solute to travel through it a short distance into the membrane. So first is recognition. Then after it recognizes, it binds, and next it can pass through, right? Now that is the translocation. The next thing, after it has been translocated to this other side, it was here before, but it's not here now. Next thing is it to be released, right? And the release of this molecule here is dependent on the affinity of the membrane protein to this solute. Meaning, if this transporter have high affinity, loves it so much, it will hold it longer, right? But if it does not have high affinity, it will be released faster. Is it not? So the release is dependent on the affinity. Now, after it is released, note that there are still other molecules here. And for this one to pass, the conformation changed, right? Now, after it is released, the last step is the recovery of the transporter. The conformation of this transporter will now return back to its original shape, the way it was before, so that other ones can bind and the transportation continues. So the steps involved is one, recognition. After recognizing, it binds to it, right? And there's a conformational change. It passes, it is released, and the conformation is regained. Those are the steps involved in the transport of solutes. But take note, this thing we're looking at, is it under simple diffusion or facilitated diffusion? Facilitated diffusion, right? Because it is in facilitated diffusion, we need a transporter, a transport protein. Do you understand that? Any question so far? Any question? Yes.